Good morning, Juliet ma'am. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, good morning, Gurpreet. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes,
Right,
ma'am.
yeah, tell me.
Yeah, thank you. Before we begin, I'd just like to bring to your notice that I'm unable to share my screen. So if you may kindly make the co-host, then I'll be able to share the screen with these.
Sure, I'll make you the co-host.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll begin. I'm sorry, and I'm unable to, start my video, but let's begin with the session. Good morning, all. A warm welcome to all of you. Respected principal, respected vice principal, our dear special speaker of the day, Ms. Gurpreet Kaur, staff members, and my dear students. It's my pleasure to welcome you all for this, today's session on emotional intelligence. As we all know, okay, at work and home, which are pretty much the same thing these days, right? Everyone is dealing with new emotions in new ways. So emotional intelligence is more important than ever before. In this session, Ms. Gurpreet Kaur Khalsa will focus on emotional intelligence, its need, importance, and other related aspects of emotional intelligence. So before we could get into the session, I would like to introduce our special speaker of the day, Ms. Gurpreet Kaur Khalsa. She is a poet, motivational speaker, biker, Punjabi language expert. She is a certified soft skills trainer, mental health therapist, a self-confidence coach, a lecturer, a teacher, and a writer. And she has also been featured on the Facebook page Humans of Bombay for her thoughts on living a life of freedom away from the stereotypes set by the society and being beautiful the way we are. And the most special thing is she's very closely associated to us. She's our she studied at Pillai College of Arts, Commerce and Science. She's our alumni, and she's with us today. Okay, and she's also judged several literary arts and cultural events at our college fest, including Alegria, the Festival of Joy. We're really happy to have you with us, Ms. Gurpreet Kaur, and I hand over the session to you, and I hope you have uh, an engaging and an enriching session ahead. Over to you, Gurpreet.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good morning, Juliet ma'am, and all the lovely people here. And it's good to be back. It's been 10 years that I graduated from this college, and it's been a year that I discontinued teaching in this college for a little time. So it's just a pause. I'm going to resume pretty soon. So I think most of you have seen me when you were in the first year, your only year of offline education. You might have seen me around the campus, in the staff room, and all that, because back then I was a visiting faculty. So it's not like we're not too strange. We are quite familiar. I know a lot of girls from this batch because 2 years ago I took a session on women self empowerment, wherein a lot of girls from this batch were present. So first things first, it is final year, a subject that does not have a stereotypical examination. So I really hope that in today's session we are emotionally intelligent, not commenting anything that is not related to the topic. If you have any questions, you might just put them in the chat. I will be happy to answer. But just make sure that we maintain the decorum of the entire session. So, to begin with, let us begin with the most difficult concept, as it is called, emotional intelligence. Now, why is it called difficult? It's because a lot of people find it very difficult to manage their emotions. We all are different in the way we think we are. We all are different in the way we behave in front of people. And we are also different in the way people think about us. Emotional intelligence is to just bring all of that at par with each other so that we are what we think, we behave what we are exactly, and people get the same image of ourselves. Now, this is pretty difficult, but achievable with a lot of hard work. By now, you might have already been enlightened on the various concepts of sub concepts, I'm sorry, of this big concept. I'm just here to quickly revise with a little bit of activity based things wherein you will be writing in the chat box whatever you have to. So let us begin. As you all know, it is abbreviated as EI, which is emotional intelligence. So years ago, when psychology started developing, when research on psychology started developing, and psychology was no more just psychiatry, but it was also psychotherapy and psychology. After that, a lot of research papers were written wherein psychology and psychotherapy were focused instead of psychiatry, because people were somehow negative about psychiatry. They were like, hame to kuch hua nahi hai, we're perfectly fine, why should we go to a psychiatrist? Eventually people realize that it's more about less about medicines and more about what you think in your mind. With that, a lot of psychologists started to bring into light of people that there is not just one type of intelligence, the one that we give the CAT, GMAT, CET exams of. There are various types of intelligences, and put together, they form a good personality. And today, when we see all these social media posts and everything else that is going around us, ma'am just said workplace and home, which is pretty much the same these days, all of it has one side of our personality that is now very less required, and two that are more required, which is our emotional intelligence and our social intelligence. Today we'll be focusing on emotional intelligence, but we are definitely going to give a high five to social intelligence as we proceed further with this session. So let us just begin with the basic introduction. Emotional intelligence is the ability to know your emotions, to control your emotions, and to express them when and where required, and how much intensity it has to be shown. Now, people with high emotional intelligences can do anything. They can manipulate people, they can manipulate governments, they can stop a war, they can create a war. As we speak, there is already war going on, already conflict of ethics when somebody sits as a part of the government without keeping their personal differences aside, or without keeping their personal mindset aside. So today we're seeing on a very great level what ego can do to a country, by a person, and to other countries. Same way, we can see what ego does in our workplaces. You will be very soon joining workplaces, or even if you plan to continue your education, there is going to be a pressure put on you by the social norms and the social expectations. If you surrender to it, you're going to feel as if, oh my God, all my friends have now started working and I'm just here. I just took a break. I was unable to do that. And your break becomes, according to you, a waste of a year. Whereas I always consider it a strategic timeout. You're just making a strategy to bounce back in a better way. All of those things are emotional intelligence. So, people with high emotional intelligence can recognize their own emotions and those of others. Very true. So, you cannot be emotionally illiterate. None of us should be. How many of us are? The question is everyone in a little bit of themselves. All of us in a little bit of ourselves are emotionally illiterate. That's because we don't know how we'll react in extreme situations. So that depends upon situation. It's a continuous learning process. Before we go on further on how to improve it, let's have the ground set today before anything else. All of us have a lot to learn when it comes to emotional intelligence. I might be giving you this session today, but even sometimes I am unable to control my emotions. Sometimes I am unable to portray them where required. And sometimes I also do a little bit of negative self talk that affects my emotions. So the ground is set. Everyone you meet, the greatest monk in your community, even if you meet the greatest saint in your community, that saint will also tell you the same thing. All of us are just work in progress. So you have to recognize your own emotions with everything that happens on day-to-day basis. Now again, people with high emotional intelligence are able to use their emotional information to even guide their thinking. And we are 80% of what we think, just 20% of what we want. Discern between feelings and label them appropriately. Now, we should know what is just a liking, what is a serious inspiration, what we want versus what we really need. All of it can be done out here. And the most important one, people who are highly emotionally intelligent are able to adjust and adapt based on the need and not the environment. The need. You might be in a gathering, and with this, also another point I would like to highlight, you might be in a gathering where everybody tells you to keep quiet, to be just quiet. But at that moment, your voice will matter. You know that if I don't raise a voice now, it is not going to be worth it. My presence will never be worth it then. You have to raise a voice. That is called adapting yourself based on need and not on environment or people around you. Because if your emotions run according to the emotions of other person, then you're not emotionally intelligent, you're emotionally dependent and vulnerable. Let us proceed with further with this concept. So the biggest difference, IQ versus EQ. And EQ is basically how people call this entire term, emotional quotient. Okay. So it's very important for me to know what is my emotional quotient. Give me just a moment. I think we're having some time difficulty here. Just one moment. Yeah. I think you might have seen the memes as well. That pretty much keeps you in the session, anyways. Yeah. So IQ is basically CAT GMAT wale questions, verbal reasoning, quantitative aptitude, language skills, etc. EQ are called human skills. How you and me sit together when we don't have agreement and still, because we work at the same place. You're my student, I'm your professor. We have different opinions on anything you can say. In the current scenario, say politics. We still sit together because we know that every person is allowed to be himself or herself without getting influenced by me. So it's very important we know the difference right away. IQ is all about your intelligence with which 50% you're born, 30% how much you were able to remember, and 20% how active and attentive you are at the moment. EQ is all about how much you teach yourself to control yourself, to command yourself, to rule your life. Next, let's talk about when this term got so famous that it is now a subject for you in your final year, the most important year of your graduation. So it was first, as I told you, researchers kept researching on this term. So it first appeared in the year 1964 in a research paper. After that, it followed to get its fame. It continued with a lot of research papers coming in the name of intelligence that is emotional, emotional intelligence, intelligence related to emotion. With these names, it just started to prosper. Then the term emotional quotient, because then somebody thought if it is that important, and we human beings, we don't work as per the Japanese logic, right? We work as per the Western logic of intelligence, which is it needs to have a measure. Emotional intelligence also was given a measure eventually, which was emotional quotient. And that again has been developing since that time to these times and many more. There are many emotional intelligence and emotional quotient tests that you need to give. So when you get recruited, IQ test happens. Eventually, your EQ test also happens in your training sessions and all, just to know that will you be able to survive in this organization or not. Emotional intelligence was then like a term only known to researchers. Now you and me will not go to Google Scholar and Google everything, just read about new research and all. So the term had to reach us, had to reach our bookshelves. How did that happen? It happened in the year 1995 when Daniel Goleman, who is a science journalist, a psychotherapist, when he published his first book, which said emotional intelligence, why it can matter more than IQ. This was the advertisement that emotional intelligence always needed, because this book went a best selling book, and after that everyone knew what is emotional intelligence. It just reached us, it reached our bookshelves. Today it has reached our minds, and we know how to become better each day. That also set the ball rolling for Daniel Goleman's series of books that kept on coming based on this topic only, which had further improvements on the topic. So you can find a lot of books. I'll just show you the cover page, the present cover page of this book. I'm sorry for the pixels. This is the picture that I could get. So this is the current cover of the book. As you know, every 10 years, the cover page of a book changes, even if it is a very best selling book. So, what is emotional quotient? It is the measurement of EI. Again, who published this first is not so important. Who popularized it is important, which was Daniel Goleman. There's a very common saying amongst the HR community that IQ will get you hired, but EQ will get you promoted and appreciated. So if you're aiming to get a job, you should have a good IQ. If you're aiming to get that Singapore trip and good incentive and good employee feedback, you need to have EQ, which is emotional quotient. There are different tests. If any one of you is interested to do an emotional quotient test, please message Juliet ma'am. She'll message me, she'll reach out to me, and I will give her the various links on which you could do your emotional quotient test. And you can, if need be, you can share your answers with each other, or you're happy or not with that percentage of emotional quotient that you have, you can also share it with me as well. It can be developed with a disciplined approach to life. Post COVID, 2 years into a pandemic, 2 years at home, getting the word discipline back to our life is going to be a little difficult. In this process, our emotional intelligence will be at test. The world is opening, and it might open pretty soon. It might not. We don't know. But you have to be ready, because now your cocoon days are over. You're no more the caterpillar who could just sit in the cocoon of a college student. You're going to be a butterfly pretty soon. And you might as well choose to be not just a butterfly, but the dragon in your career. Whatever you want to do. Now, this from henceforth, from this year, from after May, you are going to be responsible for your life, because you will be a graduate. I know nothing changes out here. Just like my 17-year and 364th day versus my 18th birthday. Everything is same here. I'm that same person. But a lot changes legally, right? I can now vote, I can now drive, I can now pay tax, I can have a PAN card and everything else. So that's just what is going to happen after your graduation. You will be the same person. Expectations are going to be high, not from outsiders, but from your family as well. So discipline is something that you're going to need a lot. I work in an organization as a Punjabi translator these days, and a lot of people have been now saying that how difficult it would be when I'm going to step out wearing formal dresses. So then suddenly one person just intervened in the meeting, and that person is like, "What is a formal dress?" Because it's obvious that person was hired in the COVID era. Our formal dresses are pajamas, our behaviors. How to work from home? You could sit on a couch, you could sit anywhere, but just during the meeting, you just wear a tie and just wear a shirt, and you're quite ready for it. Discipline will take time, not just discipline with regards to clothes, but maintaining a schedule, time management, having those morning exercise regimes, meditation regimes, along with traveling to work. That is going to be something that a lot of people have resumed in Mumbai, but most of us are yet to, right? Because we're quite protected in our lives. Coming to college, if very soon the world opens. For Allegria, there'll be no discipline as such required, because see, emotions work in this way that what makes you happy, we can go to any level for that. Allegra is going to make you happy, so you're going to travel for it. So that is out of the discussion. So yes, disciplined approach to life, it can be developed. The way I speak, the way I interact, the way I prepare myself to sit in that meeting where I know my opinions is going to make me promoted or fired. All of those things are going to be developed with discipline very soon. So the three intelligences, as I told you, actually there are four. But the fourth one is not yet so popular. The fourth one is waiting for its Daniel Goleman to make it popular. So, social quotient, intelligence quotient, and emotional quotient, as you can rightly see, are very well summarized in this diagram that is obviously not mine. I got it from the internet. So, I don't, take credit for making it, but I definitely got it. So, IQ is all about our capabilities, EQ is about our willpower, our set of values that we choose. हमें कितने सिद्धांतवादी होना है, कितने नहीं. Quite common how common we think that a person is good or bad. That's how common we have to think whether we have to have those values or these values or not. And SQ is all about your purpose. I sit in a gathering where I know that things are going to matter, so when I sit there, I'm pretty social, but otherwise I might not be. So that is about the social quotient. Now, again, quite a big diagram for a PPT to read, but you could just, if you just want to have a look at it, you can just have it. It's just a summary of the entire concept. Before we proceed to study it further, it's very important to know कि हम ये पढ़ ही क्यों रहे हैं. So why is it important? Leadership today is all about emotional intelligence. So you could just be hired and then get promoted to the team leader position only with emotional intelligence, of which the biggest quality is empathy. Now, empathy is basically to consider anybody as just like a human being, to understand their situation without feeling pity for them. So, if some student, when I was a professor, if some student was not able to give me the assignments on time, I never thought, and that person had something bad going on at home. So I was not like, "Are bichari, ek kaam karte rehne hi dete hain." That is sympathy. That is not needed. None of us need sympathy. What we need is empathy, somebody who understands us. Your generation is full of these emotional intelligence quotes and memes on social media. The real flex is to be with people who bring out the best in me. What is all that? That is emotional intelligence. Your generation is the only one that has known the importance of it. Whether to develop it or not is a personal choice. Now, that is where your EQ will come into question. Now, I'll tell you how important it is to understand an emotion and to finally react according to it. Now, your chat box is open for discussion. Do you think all of these faces, other than your memes, I obviously know these are your memes, but what are exactly these? Do you think you should be making these emotions in front of people, expressions and emotions? I need to have somebody in the chat box messaging. So do you think this one, and these ones, are these emotions or are these just made for popularity? You don't think these are emotions? These are facial expressions that were triggered based on different emotions. Somebody was wise enough to take a picture of it and just publicize it. Okay, now this is something that all of us are most of the times. Let's be honest. We are either these, or we are either these. There are many people who are also like this. But when somebody around us, now this is the real test of our emotions. You know, when somebody around you is not talking good or not talking so much of a quality, then you have to stop behaving like this and you still have to keep that smile on. That is emotional intelligence. So all of these memes, when put with a message that matches the expression, it becomes a popular meme, and those memers earn in billions. That's because they are able to understand, pick up that emotion and add it to a joke. Ultimately, the understanding of emotion is happening, even if it is a meme. So let's discuss the 5 elements of this emotional intelligence. We've been saying what is this? Everything that you want to develop or everything that the world needs will always begin with you, with me, with ourselves. So inside here, first you have to be the boss here. Only then you're going to be the boss here in your tongue. Your mind has to make you prioritize about you. So the first thing is to be self aware. I should know my weaknesses. I should know my strengths. I should know my emotions. I should also know whether I can be easily emotionally manipulated or not. If I am not, then pretty good. After I know myself, तब मेरे हाथ में आ जाता है remote control, which is the control to regulate myself. So when I know my weakness is anger, I have to control it. Like I'll just give you an anecdote from my own life because I don't have any other people with whom I can share or for whom I can share about their lives. I might not know it perfectly. So I know my story perfectly. I can share my story with you. So I used to be like an emotionally vulnerable person. हर बात पे रो लेती थी. Eventually I understood that's a weakness. Anybody could come and make me cry, and that person would laugh and go, and I'll just be sitting there crying. I never had empathy. I had only sympathy about people and situations. But none of them needed sympathy, right? None of us need to be considered a bichara or a bichari. We're supposed to understand us. I started to develop that. It took 5, 6 years, but ho gaya. Now nobody can make me cry ऐसे unnecessarily. But yes, if I see somebody in pain, it's natural to cry. I also know that hiding that emotion is going to bring me more loss. It's going to bring me more suffering. So I started to do that. My self awareness, now you could see my attire already on the video. You've seen me in the college at times. I am a monk who follows Sikh religion. I got baptized in 2016. After that, the life has been amazing, beautiful, and emotionally quite intelligent because as a part of meditation, I was supposed to know my weaknesses and try to make them my strengths or at least to remove them. I did that. I know my strengths and I'm not going to boast about them. कि अरे मेरे पास तो ये सब strengths है. No. So an emotionally intelligent person will never show people कि अरे देखो मैं इतना strong हूँ and you people are not, because that is not an emotionally intelligent person. That is an egoist person. That is an emotionally illiterate person. So self regulation, basically I should know मुझे कौन से behavior में, कौन से environment में कैसे behave करना है. I am quite social with you people in the session because it is my work. But if you would have met me at a public place or anywhere else outside, I will not even know that you're sitting beside me. I am that level of introvert. I used to go to a gym where I did not talk to the trainer for 4 months. I was like, okay, what to do? These exercises, these many sets. Okay, fine. Set ho gaya, khatam. That person eventually after 4 months is like, आप बात नहीं करते क्या? I said, I did not feel the need to talk. I'm here for the exercise. And he's like, are you an introvert? I said, yes, I am. I sometimes don't feel like talking to people because of introversion. मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि okay, why? Sometimes can you believe I'm even afraid to ask for that extra oregano and chili flakes sometimes. Afraid as in I just feel introverted. जबकि हमको तो लगता है ना कि that is our right to ask. मैं सूखा पूरी भी नहीं मांगती पानी पूरी के बाद. That's because I just feel sometimes कि why? I just don't have that thing, to talk to strangers. But when it comes to a session, I can do that. Deep in my mind, I've told myself that yes, I'm a speaker. I chose to choose this. I chose this career. I chose to become a speaker. At the same time, as an individual, I'm quite reserved and quite introverted. At the same time, I might not be that in my meetings. क्योंकि अगर मैं वहाँ introverted हुई तो फिर मैं lifetime अकेली रह जाऊँगी. I'll not have a job. It's very important to have a job, right? So after that, I started to focus on my social skills. Yes, there are a group of people with whom I get along, but I know them since 10 to 12 years. In the college, with my professors, because all of these have been my professors and now they were my colleagues as well, I'm able to get along. The moment a new professor joins the staff room, I'll be like, okay, how to talk to this person. That's because I am an introvert. I write poems, all of us do. All of us maintain diaries. We write somewhere or the other. But when it comes to speaking those in front of people, some of us don't feel the need. Some of us are like, Kyun? Like, why should we say that? The next one is empathy, which is to make ourselves understand everybody. Now, if students are not able to attend this session, some of them say have the best excuse, electricity issue. Some of them have network issues. Some of them are genuinely busy. They are these people whose parents have gone to work because it's important to work and run a family, and they have responsibilities which they've honored. And these kids out here also need to manage. There's somebody who's at the door, there's somebody who's just in the kitchen, and just they need to take their responsibilities. Some of you might have other responsibilities, a doctor's appointment and all. I need to understand that as human beings, it is important for us to have responsibilities and to follow it. And if one of you is doing that and not attending this session, listening to me an hour or so later on YouTube, remember that I was happy that you followed your responsibility. You know why? Because this situation can come on me as well, which has come on me quite a lot of times. I have my company's meetings on Saturday. Now, Saturday is busy for me. Say someday I'm very busy. My company excuses me. It's okay, not a problem. Saturday is your day. But whatever has been discussed, just have a follow up. That is empathy. किसी को भी ये नहीं बोलना, one, that you're irritating, or two, that oh my god, how sad or bad is your life. None of this is required as human beings. The next one is motivation. I don't need to say anything about this. This is the word that keeps us going. This is the word that will bring you to Alegria every morning, 9 o'clock. So just wait for a few days and you're going to see how magical motivation is. Again, your careers. Most of you might be preparing for CA, CS. I think there's one more, I think CMA, and many more things. Okay, masters, UPSC, a lot of you, state services, some for CDS or Indian Army. Whatever it is your motivation that keeps you going. Don't lose that. Motivation is when the beauty inside you talks to you. The beauty inside us talks to us and says, okay, I have seen this, I want this, and I've seen that we can make it happen. And when that happens, just make it happen. So these are diagrams that will summarize the 5 skills. You're supposed to remember the diagram, because I don't know if you've experienced that. Again, the chat box is open to for a yes or no. But there are many times in an exam where we remember an answer because we remember the page on it, which it was, like the right side of the page, and we remember the last word. और तभी हमको वो आंसर याद आ जाता है. And we are all commerce students, including me. So we had these diagrams, right, which had points, and we used to remember because the diagram was empty. Ek part diagram ka empty because we don't remember the points. So we used to remember that, okay, this is in the third part of the diagram or the last part of the diagram. So similarly, these are just things to make you remember. The easiest way to remember your emotional intelligence is this: the 5 fingers, all of them different yet together. When put together, they become something really strong, and that is what you are. So apart from empathy, which is another most important skill, I was able to categorize these in these 4 basically as one of those skills that are required by the HRs. So very soon we start talking about what is important to get a job. These things are very important to get a job: self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and then your life jumps on to relationship management. You're going to influence people at workplace, you're going to coach and mentor. For some people, it's very important to learn how to be under mentorship as well, how to get coached, how to get mentored, and not to just sit there and consider the coach as somebody who's just doing his job. Why should I listen and all that? Emotional intelligence is also about knowing that I don't know everything in the world. I need to learn it. Okay. Then we have interpersonal and intrapersonal. If anybody knows the difference between interpersonal and intrapersonal, you could just kindly put it in the chat box. Interpersonal is all about how I am with others. Okay, intra means whatever happens inside. So intrapersonal is here, interperson is you and me. Like right now, what is happening? I'm sharing my interpersonal skills. But before this session, when I was preparing for the session, I was having an intrapersonal communication. What is important initially for you, intrapersonal, is more important because you set the ground straight and then you go on to the interpersonal. Now you can see how these are all interconnected because that is how your mind works. Again, I have taken this image from social media. How to improve your emotional intelligence. Now, after telling you for 25 minutes on the topic, let's discuss on how to improve this. You could quickly go on to read this. Again, this has been taken from social media by a woman I admire a lot. So this Chelsea, and she does a lot of sessions on emotional intelligence. So first is reflect on your own emotions. I should know if I'm an angry young woman or a very calm person. And if I know that, and if I'm able to control that, fine, that is good. If I'm not, then nothing can happen. Try communicating in a direct but still respectful manner. 80% of our problems is because of our tongue. 80% times we are not able to control what we say. And even if I'm telling you this, trust me, I am also unable to control a lot of times the way I say something. I say it very directly. Eventually, I realize, okay, that was a loss. It's not a loss of relations or job or anything. Most of all, it's a loss of your control on your life, my control on my life. That okay, for a minute I slipped control. I wasn't the boss. I let my emotions become the boss, and then I was emotionally illiterate for that moment. So we need to know that. Keep asking for other perspectives. This is exactly why offices conduct group discussions, to know that okay, there are a lot of people who have different mindsets, sabki soch alag alag hai, and to still value that is very important. We must sit in situations where we know nothing. Sit in a room full of people who know more than you. Trust me, you're going to come out much more educated because you're going to humbly listen that okay, my god, there's so much of a world that I don't know about. And then you come up with a learning perspective. I'm going to learn about this and that. Okay, so just be around those people. Take a moment before reacting. Don't immediately react. It's very important to take a moment before reacting, and it's very important to make sure that a lot of people control themselves. Help your friends control their emotions. Then you have to maintain positive attitude regardless of anything. That is because अगर हम positive नहीं होते, a few of us have lost friends, not to COVID, but to emotionally being illiterate. They could not manage the stress that this pandemic brought with them. We've lost celebrities as well, but let's focus about the common people. A lot of us have lost somebody or the other. अगर हमें हमारे relatives में से नहीं तो पर at least in our surroundings and all of us have heard at least one case of suicide because of the pandemic, because of losing a job, losing a stability in life, etc. The pandemic washed out a lot of the world, but then we just lost a lot of people because here there was no control. What could have happened to them is another story. To not let that happen to anybody is what we are here about, is what this subject is all about. And it is very important to maintain a positive attitude. You know why? Because you just don't know when the next moment brings something good to you. So it's very important to go out there, present yourself to people who know that you are there. For example, if one of you wants to work in Tesla, or if one of you wants to work with Google, and you know the HR email, I know it's just quite impractical, but then keep writing them mails. Tell them that you exist with these qualities. You really don't know where your destiny is sitting and waiting for you. Believe that everything is possible. Just everything. Okay, because I believed I was also in a situation where I was just thinking of, okay, let's just end it. Let's just end the life. It's been a lot of time, it's been just 7 years to that thing. But then something happened. In a moment, I decided that what if I die today and what if my tomorrow is the best day of my life? I'm losing that opportunity to just see that best day because my mind says that, okay, that is all you've seen. That is wrong, right? I haven't seen everything in life. And then I decided, come what may, I can kill situations, but not myself. Or tab se attitude वैसा ही है. So all of us have to be like that. You know that nowadays these movies doing a lot of rounds. Main nahi jhukega is a dialogue, right, from Pushpa. That has to be your emotion. That has to be your emotional intelligence. Main nahi jhukunga. I shall not surrender. Let whatever happen. I'm not going to. You know why? Because I'm just doing things for myself. And then you have to explore and understand why is everything the way it is? Why are people the way they are? To accept people around you, and why are you like this? Eventually you will improve. As you can see, the 10th one, empathize, 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 because that's very important. Keep observing. Also, to how to learn emotional intelligence. All of us have these best textbooks for emotional intelligence in our family. They are called relatives. और हर एक के पास ये blessing होती है that you have one or two relatives with whom you just look at them and you know कि इनके जैसा नहीं बनना है life में. Okay, then you have these 2-3 relatives to whom you look up to, you admire those people. Observe what are these qualities of इनके जैसा नहीं बनना है, बिल्कुल भी नहीं, and इनके जैसा बनना है. There's a line of difference between them, a universe of a difference between them actually. And then once you observe, try to write down the best qualities or try to remember them in your life and practice those qualities when you are faced with such a situation. Now let's focus about the easiest way to increase your emotional quotient, hobbies. Now I would just want you to just quickly write your hobbies in the chat box. And if you have a unique hobby, I will definitely acknowledge that in the chat box, and I'll also acknowledge your names right away when you're writing your hobbies. So the first hobby that makes you emotionally intelligent is to talk to nature, which is with 2-3 ways that you can do. Psychology says or science says that when you touch soil, it releases some sort of chemicals in your mind. The mere touch of soil, and you start to become happy. Nature teaches us gardening, practically teaches us patience. Now, in a 2 BHK, I have 180 plants, which have taught me extreme patience. मैं अगर मुझे टाइम पर मेरा दुपट्टा भी नहीं मिला ना, although I used to keep it somewhere else, I used to be so frustrated that I used to cancel going to events. मैं इतनी गुस्से वाली होती थी. But eventually, gardening kept me quiet. Pandemic made us go back to nature, right? Gardening is very important. See, a lot of people here do gardening. Anu Shah does gardening. Chauhan Muhammad, I think, does gardening. Oh, Pooja Yadav plays chess. Pooja Yadav collects coin. That is very nice. Coin collection and playing chess. Chess makes you balance your emotions. Very true. Writing poems. That's so good. 8036. Cooking. Again, Chauhan Muhammad Alam. Very nice. Most of you have cooking, gardening, and all. Baking, Prabjot. Oh yes, Prabjot is a very good baker. I've had an opportunity to order cakes from her. Really good stuff. Okay. And yes, again, baking also releases a lot of stress. देखो purpose पता है क्या है? Stress निकालना है. We have to remove our stress somewhere or the other, and do something that makes your soul happy. Hobbies are those things. So first thing to talk to nature is gardening. The second one is to observe nature, as you can see here. Now I know our polluted skies will never make us have this view. and telescope is quite expensive on the budget. But how about just standing beside your window still, just with your head tilted on the window and just looking at the sky? कुछ नहीं तो मून ही दिख जाएगा ना, इतनी पोल्यूशन में मून तो दिखाई दे ही देता है. And then the north star is visible. To just be quiet and observe nature, to just be there. The next one is via trekking or something that you observe nature, right? You go to nature and observe it. Then pets, to share your life with another living being who does not speak through words but through their behaviors is very important. Sharing your life with an animal is very, very important. How many of you are people who want a pet but your parents are telling you not to get a pet? Come on, come to the chat box. I was like that 2 years ago. Parents are like, या तो ये घर पे रहेगा या तुम, है ना, वो वाला मिला ही होगा तुम लोगों को ultimatum. Either the dog is in the house or you are in the house. 2020, my year began like that. November 2020, I got a dog and I kept it in my father's lap. My father did not want a dog. Today, my father sleeps with that dog sitting on his tummy. That is the beauty of it, because an animal calms you down. Oh, we have Resham Singh having 2 pets already. You're a very rich man, Resham Singh. You're very rich man. So yes, having a pet is important. Now it doesn't matter तुम्हारे पास dog है, cat है या parrot है. Okay. Just make sure you're not caging anybody. Birds के तो I'm very against keeping birds in cages. If you want to pet birds, trust me, have this idea. Plant some vegetables in your window. They are going to come. The the parrots are going to come. I have 5 parrots that visit me every morning. सिर्फ इसलिए because I have a few plants that the parrots like and they come every morning. I have birds coming in. So you cannot just pet a bird in a cage. Don't do that. तुम उसको emotionally illiterate बना रहे हो. But then there are many ways. I have friends who have monkeys as their pets and they teach them a lot. I have a student rather, who graduated from our college. She has a snake, a non-venomous snake as her pet. So when I asked her कि why a snake, so she's like, क्या मैम, सारी life snakes के साथ बिताते हैं हम. We are always with hidden snakes with the faces of human beings. So ये तो असली है ना, thank God. For the first time at least मुझे इतना तो शांति मिलता है कि this is a real snake. And that was quite a deep thought though. But then that snake is pretty cool, you know. She's allowed to roam in her entire house and she can scare anybody. But then she has a snake as a pet. I have people who have rabbits as pets. They are very, very calm and composed people who have rabbits as this pets. Okay. So it's very important to have a pet. A lot of you might think, okay, oh my God, the house might be dirty and all. See, these are your own personal thoughts. I cannot go against them. A few of you might have bronchital infections जो तुम वाकई pets नहीं रख पाओगे, at least dogs and cats, because of their hair, because they shed these little fragments of love and that is their way of life. So if you cannot have a pet at home, another option, moment you step out of the house, there are many dogs. Just feed them. Not a packet of Parle G because that's pretty sweet. You could feed them a packet of Mary biscuits at least. Just feed them, just put a little hand on their head and you see how good they'll become to you. They'll come running behind you every day and that releases your stress. You step out of the house and there your therapy is wagging its tail for you. You could pet anybody, trust me. It's very easy to have a pet. You might not always keep the pet in your house. अगर तुम किसी street dog को foster भी करते हो or just feed a street dog, that street dog is your pet because you're emotionally attached to that pet. And that pet teaches us a lot. So here you could see how happy these people are. You see how happy this girl is feeding her cat, how happy this woman is feeding swimming her dog. And this is my pet here. And she's always like this, smiling. For a moment, when I'm sad, when I'm just angry, or when I don't get that thing, okay, when I don't get that business pitch coming right, This smile is able to tell me that whatever it is, there's always good things coming. So it's very important to have pets, okay? Cooking is another good hobby. I could not write it here because, again, some people link it with gender and all. But cooking, yes, it releases stress. The happiness of feeding my beloved people, something that I made with an effort, is really not explained in words. It's beautiful. The biggest hobby that can make you increase your emotional quotient is to volunteer, to do seva, to do social service. Okay, and how to do social service? Now you may say कि अरे मैं रास्ते से चल रहा था, मुझे कोई गरीब इंसान मिला ही नहीं, मुझे कोई भिखारी नहीं मिला, तो मैं पैसे किसको दूं? I'll tell you how that works. While you were crossing, you saw a lot of these small vendors selling things for 10 to 20 rupees. Get those things from them, give it to the homeless that you will eventually find, or come home, give it to your domestic helpers. तुम एक ही वक्त पे दो लोगों की मदद कर पा रहे हो. And that happiness that you get when you give it to them and they smile and they tell you God bless you, trust me, even if they don't tell you God bless you, that smile is worth millions. How can you do more sort of volunteering? Go for beach cleanups. Versova Beach is getting cleaned again. There is Carter Road area of the beach, the Bandra side, getting cleaned again. Go there, help them. Every Saturday that happens morning 7 to 9. Go there, just help them. Clean your local lakes. But make sure that your hygiene is your priority, okay? Play with these kids. हर एक के एरिया के आसपास कोई ना कोई झोपड़ी है. Go there and play with these kids just for a day. Don't be there regularly because you have responsibilities, right? If you can, go there and teach them also. But just go there once, meet them, just get one chocolate and a biscuit, just give it to them. They'll be very happy and you will be very happy. The idea is not to be happy because मेरी वजह से कोई और happy हुआ. The idea is to know that, okay, I understood my responsibility as a human being. The biggest hobby that you could do is positive self talk. You are your own motivational speaker, you are your own spiritual healer, you are your own psychiatrist, psychotherapist, psychologist, you are your own teacher, and you are your own prisoner also if things go wrong. So it's very important to have positive self talk. I need to tell myself that, hey, you are not the best person on earth, but you're a good person on earth. Because the day I tell myself best, मैं बाकी सबको छोटा समझने लगूंगी. However I am, I was that person who was 90 kgs and I still told myself, you're fit. And I started doing things that were good. मैं trekking पे जाने लग गई like every person used to, and I used to successfully do that. That's because positive self-talk. Pandemic, I started a business in pandemic. I had to close it in a year. I said, okay, fine, it's okay. सीखने को तो मिला ना. The next time I relaunch, I'm going to relaunch with experience. That matters. So your emotional quotient will be dependent on these hobbies. How many of you have this, the jar of wishes and memories? If you don't have it, just try to make one. मम्मी को बोलो कोई भी पुराना जार जो घर पे नहीं चाहिए वो हमको दे दो. No need to have such a fancy one. Have hobbies that match your budget. And I honestly believe in having very sasta hobbies. That's because spending on hobbies sometimes makes me emotionally drained. Okay, oh my god, itna kharcha ho gaya. So now just have this jar. You don't need to have this multicolor paper also. Write one good thing happening to you daily and put it in the jar. After the end of the year, if you don't want to wait that long, write one every day. Monday to Friday, Saturday को खोल के पढ़ो, कितना खुशी मिलेगा. Short reminders. Just remind yourself you need to be happy and there were good things in your life so that you're able to face more emotions. Be ready for challenges that make sure that you are alive. Challenges make sure that you have good emotional intelligence. So I would just like to end after this quite a bit session that most of us know how the other person should live their life. हम सब प्रवचन देने में माहिर हैं. You should not be looking like me, like a monk. स्टिल प्रवचन तो हर कोई देता है, और मैं तो मंक हूँ, सोचो कितने ज्यादा देती रहूंगी दूसरों को. बट there are times when I have to understand that I cannot rule anybody's life. The reason why most of us have issues in families are because there are people in our family who don't know what to do with their own lives. उन्होंने कुछ किया भी नहीं है, but they know what to do with other people's life. So it's very important to become the boss of your life so that you don't end up becoming the dictator of somebody else's life. You don't have to be a Hitler for somebody, but if you really are an Einstein to yourself, you will succeed. You don't need anybody else. It's very important to become that. Be the Chanakya of your own life. Have Chanakya Nitis for your success, and not how to make sure that other people fail. Focus only on you. Your success should not depend on anybody's failure. It should just depend on your success, your skill, your ability. And then also another hobby that I missed, read books. You need suggestions? You can take mine. I'll give you right away. The one book that has been able to influence me since past 1.5 years is Many Life, Many Masters. Many Lives and Many Masters is a very good book. Then you have The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari for a Purpose. Again, good book. You have The Alchemist, one of my favorite books. ये नॉन रिलीजियस लिटरेचर है, ठीक है, ये कोई भी पढ़ सकता है. रिलीजियस पढ़ना है, your religious holy books are the best self-help motivational things. Read Ramayana, read Mahabharata, read the story of Char Sahibzade, read read everything. Read the story of Prophet Muhammad, read the stories of Jesus. You are going to find the light. You are going to find ways to tackle your emotions. अगर उतना serious नहीं समझ में आता तो मेरे ये books वाले suggestions ले लो. So you can read, as I told you, Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Watch good movies, okay? Yes Man is a good movie. Uh, the Pursuit of Happiness is a very beautiful movie if you've seen that. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a good movie. Then you have Forrest Gump is a very good movie. The Terminal is a very good movie on a man stranded on the airport, and a lot of emotions you could get to learn from that. So you could learn these things. You could learn these things via movies, via books. It's very important to read those. Okay, so I think that's it for the day. Thank you so much for your patience. If you have any questions, you could just drop in the chat box, that unmute me, so that you get the permission to be unmuted and ask a question, if any. If there are no questions, then it was a really good session, and I hope God bless you all. We do have a question. Oh, we have. Thank you, ma'am, for such a good session. Thank you, 18102. Thank you, 8052. I thoroughly enjoyed. I wish we could interact. I wish it was offline. I wish I could meet you all, because yours was the first Bcom batch after 5 years that I did not teach in the first year. So I really wish we could meet, but no problem. I will definitely meet all of you in Allegria, because even if I'm a pass out, the college is always mine and Allegria will always be mine. So I'll be meeting you all in Allegria. If you meet me in Allegria, feel free to come and drop a hi. Trust me, I won't go introverted when you tell me a hi and yes, ma'am, we attended your session. Okay? Tabhi main introvert nahi ho jaungi, don't worry. So I think we are good to go. Juliet, ma'am, we are good to go for the session. No questions as such. There has been gratitude. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's what even I'm seeing. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gurpreet Kaur, for the enriching session. And I really want to appreciate the efforts that you had put in to make this event informative for all of us.
Thank you.
It was a good one. I'm sure that students had so many things to take away. Now I call upon, I request our student 7755 Amaya Mohan to propose the vote of thanks, and then we'll conclude with the session.
Good morning, everyone. It's been such an honor to be part of this wonderful event. On behalf of our institution, Pillai College of Arts, Commerce and Science, I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Ms. Gurpreet Kaur Khalsa, an ESL and IELTS trainer, DPT and self-confidence coach, and influencer. who educated us on emotional intelligence and made us aware as how it's a unique ability which, when acquired, helps us control and regulate our emotions better. It also helps in relieving stress, communicating effectively, showing empathy, resolving conflicts, and overcoming challenges. Thank you, ma'am. I would also like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank our principal, Dr. Gajanan Vardar, sir, and our vice principal, Mrs. Deepika Sharma, ma'am, for providing us with a platform to gain knowledge about emotional intelligence and how it affects our day to day life. I would like to also thank Juliet ma'am and our entire Bcom department for arranging and handling such an event throughout. Finally, I would like to thank all of you present here for making the time to be with us today and helping us make this event a grand success. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Amaya. Students, kindly note that I have shared the link, the emotional intelligence quiz link in the chat, and I want you all to do it right away. Okay, so it has 10 questions in it, so try to complete that. It is needed for your evaluation. So you can complete the quiz and then you may exit from the meeting. Okay, thank you, Gurpreet. Thank you so much. So we come to the end of the session, and we look forward for such session in the future as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the opportunity, and I hope you all really have a nice week ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, ma'am, I'll take a leave now.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ma'am, it's asking for permission in the Google form.
Okay. Otherwise, I've also uploaded that in the classroom. Okay.
Okay.
You'll find the link in the classroom. I'll post it right away. It is in the draft form. I will post it right away so you can attempt it that way as well. Just give me a moment, please.
Okay.
Ma'am, everybody has to fill the